welcome back to the Get a Fest with me, Nehal.
Yeah.
The audio might sound slightly different, and that's because I'm in the middle of the Allegheny Mountains and Des is in New York.
I'm not in New York.
Des
I'm
is
in
in
Littlestown.
Des is in Gettysburg with
Uh,
the Revolutionary War people or whatever happened over there.
Actually, no. Currently, I'm in an attic freezing my ass off. Looks like some Revolutionary War type attic stuff.
You seem like the type of person that would live in an attic.
Look, it's got a desk up here, a little computer chair, and not a million things.
All right, so we have a couple of topics to talk about today. One of which being a really groundbreaking one that sent me into a tailspin when I heard about the news.
Oh my god,
And
I
the oth
also got sent to a tailspin when I heard about the bridge. No, I'm kidding.
but first, we have a few little mini topics to discuss. The first of which being people getting their bridges pierced to wear frameless glasses. Now, a little fact about me. I don't go on TikTok that much, so I didn't even know that this was a thing that was happening until Des told me about this.
Okay,
And
before we say anything that's happening, let's give a little bit of a disclaimer that this could possibly be fake. Many people have commented saying that this was just, like a one-off thing or it wasn't real or something. So just a disclaimer that it could be fake,
could
but it's
possibly
still
be fake.
interesting to talk about.
Yeah. So if you don't know what a bridge piercing is, it's basically like you probably have seen some people with it because it's been getting more popular in recent years. But it's basically the piercing that is, as the name would imply, at the bridge of your nose. It's kind of like where your glasses would sit if you wear glasses, like the middle part of them. And it doesn't go through the bone. I thought it went through the bone. It does not go through the bone. It's just at the front piece of skin in front of the bone. And it can take a little while to heal, and it is also a trickier piercing because it is a surface piercing, so it has a higher rate of being rejected and or migrating. And basically what the frameless glasses have to do with this is that there's apparently pictures resurfacing of someone who has a bridge piercing, and then they put in a special piece of jewelry that allows the glasses to be screwed into it or connected to it. And some people are saying those pictures are old and from the early 2000s to the early 2010s. I have no idea. All I know is that this shit sounds painful, and I don't know why anyone would do this.
Yeah. So how we learned about this was I saw someone post about it on TikTok and they made it sound like it was recently and like a fact people were doing this. So obviously, I contacted Nahal and I was like, "We gotta talk about this. This is stupid." Um, yeah. So, and from what people have commented on these videos, there's some people that have said, this could be early 2000s, could be late 90s from these pictures, or some people are saying they saw it in 2010. So I don't know exactly what year it was surfacing, but it's around that like Y2K area kind of thing. And I just want to say, if people have actually got this done, this is the one person. If people have thought about getting this done or are thinking about it now, you're fucking stupid. Um, Honestly, you get what's coming to you. You get this and you do that because, as Nahal was saying, it does have a very high chance of rejecting, as any surface piercing does. Like that one rapper who got that diamond like implanted into his forehead. Um, that obviously rejected, and
I still am
you're
so
adding,
confused about that. Like, why did he decide to do that?
dude, that was so much money down the drain. I
I
can't.
don't know. He literally got it taken out and put it back in, and I'm like, "What are you doing, Mr. Sir?"
Like I'm already kind of iffy with most of his piercings. Like I think thermal, the bridge, and like a couple other small ones, they make sense. They're kind of cute. It makes sense for you to have them, and you probably have a lower chance of them rejecting. But for some of these ones, it's just I can't comprehend it. And I'm a person, I have a lot of piercings. I'll get like anything pierced. As Mahal can tell you, I've gotten a lot of facial piercings.
Yeah,
Even
Das actually has a clip piercing, I can confirm.
soon, after that piece. Um, no, I don't put that out there for the record. Um, yeah, no. I've thought about putting a bridge, but kind of back into what this is about. You're putting two heavy things of glass on your bridge and on your eyes. It's gonna fucking reject. And two, you're just gonna drag it down. Like I'd hate to think of all that weight just right there on the bridge of your nose.
And then
With
imagine if
a
like
little piece of skin.
and then imagine if something happens and your glasses get like snagged.
Yeah, or like you get punched in the face.
Yeah.
Cause you're already getting glass in your eye and then you're getting potentially your bridge skin like ripped or pulled or something.
Yeah, so I once again, I hope honestly this is a fake and I hope it was just like if anybody did it, it was just that one-off person that did it. Please do not do this. It is not a good idea. Just get a normal bridge piercing and leave it at that. Please.
And we're gonna post this picture that we found probably on our Twitter or Instagram or somewhere. So if you guys are curious, just look on it and then you'll see what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, oh, like also bridge piercing and stuff are cheap. Like for my stepson, I paid like $50 to $60 alone just for each year. He's
Yeah.
spending $100 to fuck up his face. And I'm not saying that in a like Republican conservative way. Like you're actually fucking up your face. But once again, disclaimer, could be fun. Could be like
Yeah.
a little internet hoax or something. Clickbait. Okay.
Also, something else that is also kind of idiotic, but in a different way. This is a little bit of older news, but it's still kind of recent. The SpongeBob popsicle redesign, which I do not agree with at all. So, I think everyone has seen the SpongeBob popsicle by now. It's one of those popsicles that's like sold by ice cream trucks and it they also had like a few different like character popsicles. I think they had like a Spider-Man one, a Bugs Bunny one, different ones like that that kids could buy from the ice cream truck. And they were designed to look like the characters obviously, and I think pretty much all of them I know Spider-Man didn't, but especially the SpongeBob and I know the Bugs Bunny one did too. They had gumball eyes. And because they had gumball eyes, and because it was like a popsicle that was meant to look like a character, they were very often fucked up. And they would just not look like SpongeBob at all. Like sometimes they would have too many gumballs, sometimes they would have only one, sometimes the gumballs would like melt, and since they were black, it would like the black food coloring would just go and drip down the popsicle and it would look very terrifying. And so this spawned a bunch of memes of people just like making fun of how often the popsicles are fucked up and just how commonplace of a thing it is. And also how, because of that, how rare it was to find an intact one to the point that it became like on a company, I'm pretty sure, yeah, it was Nickelodeon themselves who actually released official figures of the different SpongeBob popsicles, and they were, like, little, like, blind box mystery figures, so you wouldn't know which one you were getting, and I'm pretty sure the rarest one, accurately enough, was, like, the one that actually was a perfect popsicle. So it was, like, a very, like just, like, a thing in pop culture about these SpongeBob popsicles, and then disaster struck. because then slowly it started changing. So first in 2016 to 2017, Canada removed the black gumballs because they were considered a choking hazard for children. I can kind of understand. I mean, they were kind of like regular gumball size, but at the same time, I don't know, maybe a kid did choke on them. I wouldn't doubt it. Kids are kind of idiots.
kind
And
of.
then
Um,
they are
I like
idiots.
to, yeah, definitely. It's a whole idiot thing.
And so then, um, and the popsicle wasn't completely accurate to SpongeBob, obviously, because it was a popsicle. Like the bottom half of him, the main difference was that the bottom half of him was completely red with like a little bit of a tie going up because his tire is red. It wasn't like all brown, which is what most like if a company is doing like a simplified version of SpongeBob, they usually do like a yellow top and a brown bottom because those are his two main colors. And I actually do know that there was like a less popular alternative SpongeBob popsicle that was yellow and brown, and I'm pretty sure it was like banana flavored or something. I don't know if that was made by the popsicle company or the same company that made this one, but I just know that was another one that was floating around. And so I think that's probably the reason why they did yellow and red to distinguish it. And so then, um, they first redesigned this popsicle last summer, which I don't even know about. And they changed the eyes to make them instead of gumballs chocolate chips, which I don't understand how chocolate chips go with a popsicle. I feel like that is an atrocious combination, but I guess kids won't give a shit because it's
I mean, I
sweet.
can kind of understand them, some people like chocolate covered popsicles, like if it's like strawberry and chocolate or banana and chocolate. But with the flavor of this popsicle and what it is, it doesn't really make sense, especially if it's being sweet with chocolate chips.
Yeah. And then so then just this past month, in January of 2024, they announced that they were going to redesign it again, and this time they changed a lot about it. As Des says, it now has a sad and uncreative minimalistic style. It now
Oh
has an
my god, I hate the minimalistic style that is going on right now in this trend and how every fucking building lacks any creativity and how it's all boring and gray or like the stupid millennial blue that's also gray and like how they're all just fucking rectangles or squares and it's just fucking plaster and window and everything fucking boring and how all the apps now are just simple designs, like simple updates and how Taco Bell got rid of all the fun parts, how McDonald's got rid of the play area and now it's also gray and so many things. Okay. I hate the minimalistic style. We need to abolish that. And
we
we need to
really
look
do.
like okay.
Like as someone who is very interested in graphic design and is like I was gonna say studying it. I'm kind of studying it. I'm focusing on it for part of my major. Um, I hate the overly simplified logos that every company is doing, especially the fucking Pringles logo. I feel like that looks like a mess.
Mm. Where are
And
those hot little men characters they slap on everything with their little mustaches? Bring back the show.
and so yeah, I don't know why every company, I guess like I understand like oh it's like they think like it looks modern or whatever. I don't give a shit about that. Just let the logos be creative and fun. I don't understand why everything has to look so boring because that's what modern is. And so that's the trap that this SpongeBob popsicle fell into. So it's like I said, doesn't have the gumball eyes anymore. It still has the chocolate chip eyes. And it's literally just like if you look at a picture of this thing, I'm telling you now, just like Google this SpongeBob popsicle. There's like news articles that have been written about this. And It has, like, the smaller eyes because obviously they're not gumballs, and it has this, like, one of those just, like, line smiles instead of before where his smile was, like, open and you could see, like, his mouth and his buck teeth, which were another one of his distinguishing qualities. And I understand, like, SpongeBob does have that, like, line smile sometimes, but the way they did it, it just doesn't look right, and I think that's because he doesn't have his, like, puffy cheeks or anything else that goes along with it. And then he doesn't even have his tie anymore, so it's just a rectangle a long rectangle of yellow on top and then this smaller rectangle of red on the bottom, and that's it.
He literally looks like the stupid version of the Nirvana logo.
Yeah,
Like, he's literally just the square version of that. Which I love Nirvana, but I don't want to combine Nirvana and SpongeBob. I don't think they go together.
they don't. And, like, I was, like, talking about like, I don't even know if any kid would recognize that as SpongeBob, and I think, like, they probably would still know that it's SpongeBob, but at the same time, it's like, I don't think they had to simplify him so far down because his tie wasn't even that fucked up a lot of the time. His mouth was, like, sometimes fucked up because of the teeth, but it was mostly the gumballs. I don't think they had to change anything else besides the gumballs.
Yeah, and I was questioning the local youth today about it, and one youth in particular who has a big love for SpongeBob. You know who it is. He said it was fucking stupid, basically. I showed him the picture, and he like physically sad. Like he could not believe that they did that to SpongeBob, and then he went on a rant about it. So, for the people designing these things, it's something that makes these popsicles. Even your demographic hates what you're doing,
Yeah,
which is pretty sad. Because these kids aren't gonna want to buy it. Me
so
personally, I was always excited to find a hooked up SpongeBob. Even though I
yeah,
didn't get the SpongeBob, I was more of like a Batman, Bubble, Spider-Man type of kid. My cousins would get the SpongeBob, and we'd open up and be like, "Hot, it looks dumb."
yeah,
It
it
was
was
like a little
fun.
mystery bag opening before mystery bag sort of thing.
Yeah, it was fun. It had,
And,
like, a charm to it.
yeah, like sometimes you make it surprise. Am I gonna get one that looks demonic? Am I gonna get one that looks somebody messed up? Or am I gonna get one that like actually looks like it's supposed to?
Are you gonna
We
get
never
bib
got
like
one.
are you gonna get biblically accurate SpongeBob?
Well, we can't now. We can only
So,
get sad millennial SpongeBob.
literally. SpongeBob was going through his sad millennial phase, I think. So,
Millennials just need to realize it's past their time. They need to stop coding everything fucking dirty. They need to let their kids have colorful toys. They need to stop designing architecture, bring back softness architecture. Um, they need to revert McDonald's and Taco Bell and all the other fast food things into what they were, fun little, really colorful buildings where you could get really unhealthy food. And they need
I'm
to, drop off from social media.
I miss the Taco Bell kids meal.
I miss the great views and things squiggly lines.
So, speaking of another horrific tragedy, this one actually being horrific, Saltburn. Now, Destiny, have you seen this movie?
Saltburn. I didn't see it. I've watched stuff on about TikTok because it's literally every other video. Which, I thought with as much as they were pushing Jacob Elordi or whatever his name is, that he was
Yeah.
gonna be a bigger part of it. And then I found out that he fucking dies in it. And I think
Spoiler!
he's like, oh,
It's shoddy.
a warning for our viewers. I'm gonna spoil it on here. I don't care if you watch it or not. Like, just be with watch things when it comes out and then watch that because I have opinions and they need to come out. And I'm not gonna withhold them because you haven't seen them or you haven't been on TikTok and that's spoiled for you. But anyway, yeah, and then I find out he's tired pretty early. I think he's like the first one. That hurt, especially since like he's a little fucking hot eyebrow piercing.
Oh, yeah, he does.
So if you're gonna do that to me, that was a direct attack. That's a hate crime.
I mean, he does have, like, a decent, like, big part in it. He's, like, the other lead besides Oliver. I don't know the actor's name.
Oh, Jerry.
Don't know, don't care. But,
Okay,
this
he's kind of
no, he's not hot.
okay.
You have
And
some you have some atrocious taste.
uh, I'm not gonna argue with that. You're not
Exactly.
wrong. Yeah.
But this
Finding out that he
movie
has birds, I think, or whatever, that hurts. Yeah, thinking that stupid movie.
this movie is atrocious. I hate it so. Me and some people on my dorm floor watched this movie late last night after we did, like, 50 other things because I think most of us have ADHD. And so it was, like, probably 3 in the morning by the time we put this movie on, and I it was something. It was something. I did not know anything of what this movie was about. I just know a bunch of people were talking about it on social media, and so I was like, "Okay, I'll watch it." Actually, no, the one thing I knew before going to it was what, uh, one of my friends on my floor told me, which was that there was a scene, and trigger warning for just uncomfortable, weird activities, but there was this scene where Oliver so Jacob Elordi's character jerked off in a bathtub because him and Oliver, like, shared a bathroom because it was, like, in between their 2 rooms, and Jacob Elordi's character jerked off. I don't know why I said Jacob Elordi's character, Felix is his character's name. Felix jerked off in this bathtub, and Oliver, for some reason, was watching him through, like, the door crack, and then after Felix was done, and the water, like, Fel not Felix, Oliver was brushing his teeth, and then right before the water drained out of the bathtub and after Felix left, Oliver just started slurping up the cum water.
What? Oh my god, why would you say it like that? Oh,
He literally stuck his tongue down the drain.
ew. I'm glad I didn't watch this movie. What the fuck?
Yeah, and keep in mind, like, I don't understand, like, his character, Oliver's character, because basically the very rough premise of this movie, because to be honest, I wasn't paying much attention to the beginning of it especially. Oliver is a student at Oxford University in, the United Kingdom. I don't know what part of the United Kingdom Oxford University is in, I don't give a shit enough about the United Kingdom to try and figure out, but he's a student there, and so when school lets up for the summer, he doesn't wanna go back and live with his parents because he has some issues going on with them, and so Jacob not Jacob, Felix, who is also a student at Oxford, is like, "Oh, come and stay at Saltburn," which is his house. It's like a palace. I don't know why they call it Saltburn, but he lives there with his parents, his sister, and his one cousin, and so he invites Oliver to stay with him, and then one of the characters, I think it's like the mom or something, makes a comment when Oliver first shows up there, implying I forget, like, what exactly the line was, but it implies that, like, um, Felix brings a new guy there every summer. So I don't know. They didn't really go into that, so I don't know if he had, like, some weird ritual or something. But anyway, so he lives there for the summer break, and before he goes there and before this whole, like, bathroom scene happens, he seems like a pretty just quiet dude, and then all of a sudden he's just drinking cum water, and then
To
just
be fair, that's the most quiet dudes, though. They're kind of weird like that.
he just starts doing, like, other wild ass shit. Like, there's his sister who has an implied eating disorder because he, like, the one night he sees her outside and he goes up to her and he makes a comment about how, she's not keeping any of her food down, so he's like, "Oh, tomorrow you're gonna, like, eat the food and then you're gonna sit there, I guess, so he can make sure she doesn't, like, throw it back up." And then literally right after that, he says, "Oh, I could just eat you right now," and then he proceeds to finger her while she's on her period, and she tells him that, and then he says, and I quote, "You're lucky I'm a vampire," and sucks his fingers with the period blood on them.
Wait, hold on. Is this the weird dude or the brother?
It's, Oliver, the guy who's staying there.
Oh, holy shit. I thought you were talking about Felix doing the first sister. I don't know
No, no, no.
what. I mean,
No,
it's
it's
a
just
one
this.
that's fucking wild and people like says that, but I thought it was like, oh my god.
Yeah, and yeah, so that happens, and he sticks the fingers in her mouth, and she moans, and for some reason she's into this, I don't fucking know. And then he kills his family off one by one, starting with, like, Des said Felix, which I still don't know how exactly he killed Felix,
I
but
think I was read that people were saying that they mixed drugs and alcohol or mixed something and it caused them to
yeah, because Felix died at this birthday party that was being thrown for Oliver because they're all rich and they can afford to throw massive parties, and they're just, like, hanging out in this maze, and Felix is, like, drinking, and then he just collapses and dies, so it probably is, like, something to do with drugs and alcohol, and then they don't find him until the next morning when they realize, like, he didn't get up and get breakfast, and so they're all searching for him, they find him in this maze, the entire family's distraught, and then the cousin, Farley, who is literally the only logical person in this movie, is, like, making comments about Oliver and is like, "Oh, isn't it weird that he's still here?" Because keep in mind, he hasn't at that point, he'd only been there for, like, I'm pretty sure a few months. He ended up staying there for a total of 6 months. So at this point, it wasn't even 6 months that he was there. And so, Farley's trying to, like, point fingers at him, and then, Oliver says something about him, like, I think, like, doing cocaine because he says, like, that Farley was doing lines or something, and then the father orders the butlers to search his room, and for some reason believes Oliver over his literal family, which I don't understand. And Oliver gets kicked out. And also before this, like, Oliver he yells at not Oliver, Farley gets kicked out. And before this, he yells at Farley for not eating his lunch. Keep in mind they just found Felix's body and they're all just like eating lunch like it's normal, and Farley obviously doesn't want to eat. And then he gets yelled at for it.
I saw that too, and I heard people say that like how they're reacting and stuff and what they're doing is a foreshadowing for each of their deaths.
Yeah.
But from what I read, it seems like this, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, maybe. So, yeah, so he gets kicked out, and then so he's kicked out, Felix is dead, and then, I'm pretty sure yeah, it's that night, the sister is completely drunk, and she's in the bathtub when Oliver walks in and is, like, talking to her. I forget what even was the conversation that they had, and then I just, like, was focused on how weird it was that she was just naked in this bathtub and he was just sitting there talking to her. Oh, and also, forgot about this. He like before like Felix dies, before any of that happens, he comes into Farley's room in the middle of the night and literally gets on top of him and is like, "Oh, you better behave," and like saying all this shit, and then Farley just agrees to it and is like, "Oh, I'll behave," and I'm like, What the fuck are you doing? I would kick this man."
I want to know who decided, yeah, we're gonna produce this movie. We're gonna fund this.
Exactly. I don't know how this got made.
Because, like, maybe what I saw the weird parts about it was that the Oliver character was like dancing around as nature and stuff.
Yeah, that's the end of the movie.
That's what I saw all the weird stuff coming from. But like, I'm so
Mm-mm.
glad I didn't go see this movie with my money.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I should just tell you because I don't want to put you through watching this.
Yeah, and like I like doing shit, but you know, mm-mm.
Yeah, so that happens, and then anyway, back to what I was talking about. So, yeah, Farley gets kicked out. Felix is dead, and then yeah, so back to the sister. So they're having like some conversation while she's just naked in the bathtub, and then he like gives her some razors, and then she kills herself Stan style in this bathtub.
That's their style. Could you explain the significance of Stan?
So I'm referencing Stan from the second It movie when he unalives himself in a bathtub and the bathtub water gets all red. And then because when Des turned 16, they were in their It phase, I got them as part of their present a jar full of cherry Kool-Aid, and I labeled it Stan's bathwater.
And just so you know, I kept that Kool-Aid in a jar on myself for what 3 years. Um, just letting it grow its own little microbiome or whatever. And I didn't get rid of it until I moved. And I only got rid of it because it would not have made the drive, which I'm very sad about because like there was shit actually growing in there.
The
And yeah,
science of Kool-Aid.
you know how to keep Stan's memory alive somehow. But
Anyway,
you're a real one.
thank you. So, yeah, that's what happens to the sister, and then the father, has a sit down with Oliver and is like, "Hey, you should go." And he doesn't explicitly say it's because he's suspicious of Oliver. It can be implied that maybe he does think that, he just isn't saying it. The reason he says in the movie is because, like, the family, aka just the dad and the need time to grieve. And Oliver tries to put up a fight and is like, "Oh, well, I need to support the mom," because the mom really has an attachment to him for whatever reason. And then he's like, "Oh, no, but, like, this is what's best for us, like, you need to go." So then he leaves, and then an unspecified amount of time passes before he runs into the mom at this coffee shop, coincidentally enough, right after the dad died, but the dad died of natural causes. He, surprisingly enough, had nothing to do with the dad's death. And then the mom is talking to him and being, like, "Oh, you should come back to Saltburn." I don't know why you should be offering him to come back, but she does, and so he accepts that offer and comes back. And shortly after, the mom starts, like, dying. It doesn't I don't think they say what she's dying of, but she's, like, bedridden in, like, a hospital bed in the house with, like, a bunch of oxygen tubes hooked up to her. And then, and this is after she, signed, to have the estate, like the Saltburn building, entrusted to Oliver after she dies because she has no one else to give it to since the cousin got kicked out, both her children are dead, her husband's dead, she has no one else to give it to. So she entrusts it to Oliver. And so after she signs that, Oliver literally, like, rips out her oxygen tubes and, like, gets on top of her and does all this weird Oh, wait, also, this other part that I completely did not mention. At Felix's funeral, he fully just, like, gets naked and starts humping the grave.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yeah, so that's another thing that happens in the rain, and it's fucking weird. And, yeah, so he rips out the mom's oxygen tube and just lets her die. She can't even die on her own terms, like, of whatever she's already dying of. He literally murders her, and just gets on top of her and just is continuing to act weird. And throughout the movie, there's, like, pieces of this monologue that he's giving after the fact that are sprinkled in, and it's kind of implied at the end that the reason he did this was because this family was so rich that they had, quote, unquote, "had no other predators," or something like that. So, I don't know if he did this because this family was just rich and they had no other competition, so he wanted to just fuck them up, I don't know, but then the movie ends with him dancing butt-ass naked through the estate, and that's Saltburn.
Which is kind of disappointing because these actors, they've proven to be really good actors. And I mean, I guess when you're at that point in your career, you can accept weird fucking roles. Mainly what I got from seeing that movie from online and stuff is a bunch of rich people showing off how rich they are by doing like his dance in their houses, and that Murder on the Dance Floor song being on
Yeah.
every other fucking video.
There was a management song in that movie.
Um, I mean, I understand wanting to make weird movies, and I'm all for that. Once again, I like weird movies. But I mean, it just gets to the point where you're like, do we really need to make this?
Yeah, because sometimes I can understand, like, maybe there's, like the director had some sort of, like, artistic interpretation for this or some sort of vision that, like, it's meant to be, like, a metaphor for something, and sometimes I can, like, see that after the movie's done, but, like, literally from start to finish for this movie, I was like, "What is the purpose of this? What is the message? What is the moral? What did I gain from this?" I just don't understand why this movie, who decided it, other than they just wanted to make some weird ass movie that would get people talking, which if that was the case, it worked. I mean, everyone's been talking about it, but at the same time, it's like, this is your legacy now, I guess.
And then, like, I heard some people say that it's like eat the rich kind of thing, like a payback sort of. But what they don't realize is that like every actor in that movie is like filthy rich, and it's made by someone who's filthy rich. So why would these people be like, yeah, eat the rich? They literally
Yeah.
are rich. So it's not being like, yeah, working class. It's kind of like, haha, or um, uh, speaking of big letdown, there's also another rich dramatic person who severely let down their audience and their followers, and that is Melanie Martinez with her photo perfume, which in around like November of 2023, he announced that he was going to release a new perfume, and a lot of people were excited for it because she had released a perfume in her Crybaby era, and it did really fucking well. And from what I heard, it smells really good. And nowadays it goes for like $1,500, like an
Damn.
open bottle, like the used bottle. So it's for that much. That's how crazy people are about perfume, which I don't get, but to each their own.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't understand spending that much for perfume in general. I just use Bath& and Body Works and pink perfumes, but whatever floats your boat, I guess.
I I could understand, maybe having like one kind of expensive one because there's different types of perfumes. Like there's
Yeah.
body spray, perfume, toilets, or whatever they're called. Um, and maybe if you're going for like a special event or something, having just like one nice one that's gonna last you. But I don't understand all this. Oh, I need this perfume. I need this one, that one. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like I have my own little collection of Bath and Body Works perfumes. So that's when they go on sale for like $3 during the summer.
Yeah, same, or the semi-annual sales, like, they just had one. I didn't buy any because I have too many, but that's usually when I stock up.
I didn't get mine as like Christmas gift. I think I
Yeah.
bought like one perfume during the sale. Yeah, I think I bought one. It was like a watermelon or something. Like people got to stuff now. I'm not watermelon, but
Watermelon Girl 426.
that's grammar in my dictionary. Yeah, back to perfume. So she announced that she's gonna have four perfumes come out, and I think they're perfumes. They're a higher concentrated perfume. There's gonna be four of them, and they were kind of like a collector's edition or something, like collector's items, because they were going to come in like a little statue of her new, I guess, alter ego or character's head. Um, and from the like info pics that were posted, like the original ones, it looked like it was going to be a very high quality statue, like metals and stuff, and the sculpted head was going to be like shadowed and was going to look very nice. And people were really excited about it. Um, and Melanie announced that the four scents were going to be Air Clarity, which is like a caramel coconut scent. Earthly Abundance, which is like a green tea, jasmine, vanilla, lavender kind of thing. Fiery Passion, which is like a strawberry, pink, peony, vanilla. And then Water is Intuition, which is sandalwood, amber, cedarwood, vanilla, which I don't really get that from water. Personally, I don't really think that correlates with water in my mind.
Yeah, because like, when I think of water, I think of, like, cucumbers and stuff like that, but I guess different people have different interpretations.
Yeah. They are vegan, cruelty-free, and ethically sourced, so according to the website. And they were each 15 milliliters, which is not that much.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna see because I was looking at, like, images of this perfume, which you can find images of it on the website and also on Reddit. People have been, talking about it, but they didn't even look like they were the same size as a thing of travel size perfume, which is kind of concerning considering how much you were paying for it. Isn't it like $400 or something?
No, so I can't say much about currency in other countries. I think someone from Australia or somewhere else said that it ended up coming out to $400. Um, in the US, though, it cost $275.
Yeah, so,
But with
uh,
taxes and shipping and everything, you know, that was just 300.
yeah, and the reason why a lot of people were so upset about how expensive this perfume is because the quality of the figurine is not that good. So, hold on, I'm still looking for the how big a travel size perfume is.
Yeah, and while I'm finding that out, also the actual perfume themselves, the bottle that it comes in, is literally like a butt plug. Like I wouldn't be surprised if someone else giving it up there.
Okay, yeah, so I found it. Uh, this one travel size perfume I'm looking at says it is 10 milliliters, so these are not that much bigger than a travel size perfume. you would buy from, like, Sephora or Ulta or something, which is kinda concerning, but yeah, one of the main reasons people were not obsessed, upset about, this perfume was because the actual, like, figurine of the character that holds the perfumes was very bad quality, like, you could see where the front and back, pieces of the head had been, like, uh, what is the word? Fused together, and you could see that little line, it wasn't, like, sanded down at all, and weren't you people saying that it was, like, made of plastic or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you would expect for something, and especially from, like, the images that were shown online on the website, it looked very high quality, it looked like it was gonna be made out of, like, nice materials, and then people get it, and it's just not, and how are you as an artist, as someone that has a lot of fans, gonna just let your fans down like that, especially after you had such a high with your previous perfume and people have such high expectations for your perfumes now? And I also don't get it, cause you would think, like, you're putting this out, you wanna be, like, proud of it, you know, you want it to be high quality so it can be something that you're proud of, especially since it's, like, this unique character. It's something that's an embodiment of your work too, so why wouldn't you want it to be high quality so it could be something that you're also proud of and that your fans can also have as, like, a nice little, like, collectible thing, like, I just don't understand it.
Yeah, and even if, like, it was a fault of, like, the people who physically make it, like the distributor or whatever, I feel like, coming out and saying, "Hey guys, like this isn't what I was selling the product was gonna be. Um, I thought it was gonna be better high quality." Just like try to talk about it and kind of own up to it, maybe.
Yeah,
From what
cause
I've seen, there's been a lot of that, and even kind of a defensive part.
yeah, cause as, like, a celebrity who is, like, working with a company to make this perfume, like, yeah, I can understand, like, sometimes that can be intimidating and, like, sometimes, like, companies can be difficult to work with, but, like, you're responsible for vetting out a good company, and then once you find that company, like, actually communicating with them to make sure the product that they're producing is the product that you want and that it's not this, like, letdown, especially because of how expensive it is. That's another thing, is because of how expensive it is, it's like, how is this not better quality? Because then now you're overpricing it for what it is, like, 4 little tiny perfumes in a cheaply made container. So, you're just completely scamming your fans out of money. Because I don't think there's any way that should cost over $200 for the quality that it is. And
Exactly. And like at the end of the day, no matter whose fault it was, you are the face of this. You are the one who's putting out this product as this is my own, selling it to people who are fans of you. So no matter what, you are going to be the first person that has to take responsibility for this. That if it's not the best card that it can be, no matter if it's your fault or not, this isn't even just for Melanie, it's literally like every other person who puts out a product or something, you are going to be responsible, no matter if it was a fault on your end or not, because you told these people to buy this. You are the one promoting and endorsing it. So no
yeah,
matter whose fault it was, if you didn't know it was going to end up like this or not, it's still your responsibility to take accountability for it.
yeah, because 'cause you're the face of this perfume, and so you need to have that foresight to know that, like, "Okay, if this is shitty, it's gonna be on my end, like, I'm gonna be the one feeling the blame for it because I was the one who was supposed to make sure it's good." Like, this literally and I was telling Des about this literally reminds me of the Trisha Paytas skincare scandal, which I don't know if anyone else has heard about this because Des didn't, and Des knows everything. But the thing with the Trisha Paytas skincare is a few years ago, Trisha collaborated with this LA esthetician, this lady that does, like, a lot of, like, facials and skincare stuff for a bunch of famous celebrities, and she has her own company. She collaborated with her to release a skincare line, and it was just absolutely trash. Like, people were getting their orders and packages were leaking, things were just not, like, packaged properly or safely, and then people were using the skincare and it was, having horrible reactions to their skin to the point where one girl who used the skincare actually got a chemical burn from it that she had to have treated that, obviously the company didn't cover because they didn't wanna take the fucking blame for that. So it was just a fucking mess, and the website was full of lies. Like, it was saying, like, it's suitable for all skin types, but yet it had fragrance in it, and if you know 2 things about skin, anything that has fragrance in it is not gonna be suitable for all skin types because fragrance can be a very common irritant for a lot of skin types, especially people with sensitive skin. Like, I personally have sensitive skin. I can't use a lot of, like, face or body products with fragrances in them outside of, like, perfumes and stuff because it irritates my skin sometimes. So, you saying that it's suitable for all skin types when it's not is dangerous. And they also a lot of the products didn't have, like, complete ingredients lists on the websites, and it was just a whole mess of a situation. So, like, that's literally the only thing I can compare this Melanie perfume situation to, and I feel like with Trisha, it's almost a little bit more not forgivable, but expected because of how problematic she is, and since she has a reputation for not caring about her fans. But Melanie, for the most part, actually seems to give 2 shits about her fans, so it's just even more perplexing why she would do this.
Yeah, and he's been on my take lately. I think it's been about her music video saying that, he's self-producing all of these music videos. He's paying out of pocket and stuff. But, if you're doing the same and this is like a passion project or something you've been wanting to do for a while, and like right now you might not have the funds for it to be the best that it can be, like you have to work with a company cheaper maybe or cut corners or, you know, if you're not completely sure this is gonna be the best that it can be, wait. Wait for a little while. Save up more money. Or release a new album or a single or something to get that funded for you. So
Yeah, don't
that it isn't gonna fall and bite you in the ass.
don't cut corners with stuff like this because it will come back and haunt you, like, people don't just let go of stuff like this.
Exactly. And like I can understand like maybe some of these parts not being, completely sanded down or, even the like base itself not being like a metal or anything or plastic, that's fine. If it's like a nice heavy plastic, it'll still feel, a little luxurious. But the fact that the eyes go in different directions and there's four of them, each looking in a different direction, like that's a lot. That could be
Yeah.
it's like when like the original photo that was released that announced the perfume was so pretty. Like the eyes were really gorgeous. They all looked in the same direction. The colors matched very well. The bottom base part was nice and shiny. And that's what a lot of people like bought it for and pre-ordered for that picture because of how nice it looked. And like at the end of the day, sure, the perfumes might be small and might be overpriced, but if they smell good and what it's coming and looks nice, I don't think anyone would have really minded.
Yeah.
Because from what I heard, the like actual scents are a win for most people, especially the fiery passive ones. That's a lot of people's favorite because of their velvety.
So, moving from one heartbreak to another, Matthew what is his middle name? Matthew Robert Patrick is
Nah,
le
Matthew Passu.
Matthew Patthew, as Des so lovingly calls him,
Mm-hmm.
is leaving the internet. Now, I'm sure everybody knows about this because it's been everywhere since he announced it, and I have still not processed it because I refuse to believe it is real.
Oh
So,
yeah, I haven't accepted or acknowledged it either.
so MatPat, I'm sure pretty much everyone knows who he is. He is behind the famous theory channels. Most people know him for game theory. He also has film theory, food theory, style theory, and he's most well known for his theories about Five Nights at Freddy's. And Des, you want to share your opinion on those theories?
Yes, I actually would really like to share my opinion about that. Okay, so we all know that Matthew, Patthew, Snap, and I'm gonna also add Markiplier are all very popular and, for their respective reasons, and then also because of the series for Snap and Mark's commentary on the game. Um, I thoroughly believe that the game slash franchise, I guess it is now, would not be as popular as it is if it wasn't for game series and Markiplier. Um, I don't really like to think it's good yet. You could say that it could be said also about uh not that, but Markiplier and Matthew Patthew because a lot of their things is coming from Snap. But I don't believe that too much because Mark was already popping off from his Amnesia gameplay. Um, and Matthew Patthew, his Mario and Sonic series were pretty popular at the time. And personally, I watched Mark because of his Last of Us gameplay, and then I slowly started watching his Snap stuff because of YouTubers react, I think. Like, a long forgotten channel nowadays. Um, and while I do think they all would have still been popular, I don't think that uh, it would have reached the same status as it has now. Like, especially Snap, because Snap was more of an indie horror game, and at the time, indie horror wasn't really as popular as it is now. Like, when a new indie horror game comes out, everyone wants to play it, everyone wants to make a gameplay, make a reaction, but back in the day, it wasn't really a main focus. And then, people like Nick Pryor, that guy, and, Matt series, I think like to think that they really popularized the genre of that. And it really does stem from Mark making his original FNAF series and claiming himself FNAF. And then Matt being like, yeah, this is connected to these five murders that happened at a Chuck E. Cheese in the 90s. And whatever the original theory about the games were.
And it's also funny because if you go back and watch his original FNAF theory, like his very first one, he mentions that he tweeted out asking people like if they would like a theory on Five Nights at Freddy's or Slender Man, and people voted overwhelmingly for Five Nights at Freddy's because this was around the time the first game came out. And there was the top comment on that video when I watched it said he would have still had his sanity if we'd picked Slenderman, and I think that's an accurate statement because Matt poured a lot of work into those FNAF theories, and it may sound rude, but it actually is kind of admirable how hard he went for that game.
Yeah, like this dude made over fucking 90 videos just on Snap alone. 90 fucking videos. More than that. Talking about animatronic bears.
And
But
like he
you got to say that because Scott Cawthon wrote a book where Matt talked about fucking and Craig by animatronic engagement first. Wait, the kind of iconic from that part. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I just the and that's another thing is, like, the FNAF books were, like, a whole other can of worms, and Matt went in depth on those too. Like, he
Mhm.
just scraped every inch of this franchise looking for anything.
I also like to think he kind of, you know, not knowingly kind of created the storyline behind FNAF because it seems like every time Matt came out with a theory and it made sense, Scott Cawthon would be like, nope, and like another game where those theories were blown out of the water. Were not, you know. So like unknowingly and not meaningfully, like Matt could also kind of contribute to the storyline. I think he should be credited.
Yeah. And so then the FNAF movie, which just came out last year, Matt was actually in it, which he put on this whole show about not being in it because I guess he just wanted it to be a surprise and didn't want people to know. Um, he even I didn't even know this, he went as far as crying on camera because he wasn't invited to any of the events or showings for the movie. And at first, obviously, a lot of people believed this and felt bad for him, but then they remembered that he's a fucking theater nerd. And they were like, "Oh, he's probably just lying." And he was because he was in the movie. He didn't actually have a major part in it. He was just a waiter named Ness in one of the scenes. I would have liked to see him play a bigger part considering how influential he is to this game, but maybe Scott had some beef with him.
I mean, as I said, they go back and forth with each other.
Yeah.
So yeah. Although when the movie did come out, he started posting like right away that, you know, behind the scenes what his and at the time, many of you probably know there was a strike going on with the actors and the writers. Um, and one of the rules, I guess, of like a film strike or whatever is you're not allowed to like advertise or really talk about it because, you know, that's making people want to go see the movie. And that's kind of the, you know, contrary to what SAG AFTRA wants is like they don't want to give free advertisement for these production companies and stuff, but they want their rights, which is understandable, and I fully agree with it. Um, and a lot of people were upset with Matt because, you know, he's very clearly tried being an actor, with how many productions he was in and, you know, him just now being in a movie, which he should know the rules and not to be a stabber and, you know, could have waited a little while to post about his experiences. Well, I don't think it was malicious. Um, I do think it's something that you should learn from, you know, maybe you refrain from in the past. Hopefully there's not another strike. Um, but, you know, in case there ever is any does not happen, just think about that in the future.
Yeah. And so then, January 9th, 2024 is when tragedy struck. Matthew Patrick released a video that was simply titled Goodbye Internet. And I feel like, not I feel like, I know, just from the title and from the thumbnail, a bunch of people understood what this video was going to be. And it was, in fact, a goodbye video, like a announcement that he is retiring from YouTube, retiring from the Theorist channels to focus on his own life. Apparently, I didn't watch the video because I didn't have the goal to. Apparently, he mentioned doing this on us.
Yeah, I kind of watched bits and pieces of it, so I didn't really have time to sit down and fully watch it. But mainly with the honest thing, it was saying like, you know, we could learn from that channel, and what it taught us is, you know, basically you don't live forever and not get really stuck on things. And then phrasing, I don't really remember too much, but I just remember being excited that he mentioned something on that. Besides the marketing thing, like on the anniversary, no one talks about it anymore. And if you know me in the hall, that was our shit back in the day.
It was. And yeah, so he announced that he's leaving. His reason for why he is leaving was basically that even though has loved being able to make the theories and being able to have, this as a job, this being YouTube, and, it's been a great time for him. He doesn't like some aspects of it, which is like the late nights, all the work that goes into the scripts. It's just very draining for him, I'm pretty sure is what he was trying to say. And so because of that, he actually wants to have like a life where he can spend time. He also mentioned his son, which his son, I'm pretty sure, is 5 years old now, and he wants to be able to actually spend time with his son while he's young and not be so buried in work all the time, especially since he and also his wife, Stephanie, both do work for the Theorist channels. So they wanna be able to have a life where they can just, enjoy time with their kid and actually have a family life instead of it just all being about work. Like, he mentioned that him and Steph, like, whenever they would sit down for dinner, they would just talk about work. They wouldn't really talk about anything else because there was just so much to do all the time with the channels. And so he just wants to have, like, a normal life where he can enjoy it and not just have to be so buried in work all the time, which is definitely understandable, especially for how much work he put into those channels. And so he said that in the next 10 weeks from when that video was released, there will be 9 final theories. And on March 9th, 2024, the final video made by Matt will be released, and at that time, the channel will have a big going away party. And if you're wondering what's gonna happen to the channels after Matt leaves, the other staff members are gonna take them over. So if you watch the channels, you may know them. If you don't watch them, you probably don't know the other staff members. But he has like different heads of the different channels. I forget who's the head for game theory. I think the person who's the head of film theory is it's no, it's not Dan. I forget the person who's the name head of film theory. Um, I know the head of food theory is Santi, and the head of style theory is Amy. So I'm pretty sure the heads are gonna be the ones that are gonna be taking over their respective channels, and that's how they're gonna continue them. However, me and Des kind of talked about this that like it's possible that the channels won't be nearly as successful without Matt there, not even just because of, like, a comfort thing. Because me personally, if I watch a theory video and it's not Matt that's speaking, it just feels weird and I don't watch it. Like, I remember there was this he did a video on Just Dance, and at the time, I think, like, his voice was fucked up or something, so one of his other staff members did the voiceover for that video, and I just clicked off of it because I was like, "No, this is incorrect." No hate to whoever that was, it's not right to me.
Mhm. And like, I fully support these other people coming in and taking over. I wish them nothing but the best. I hope they are very prosperous. I'm sure they will do an amazing job. But me personally, I don't really watch solely because of the theories or experiments or gameplay and stuff that they do, like in the live channel. It's more of I like Matt and his charisma and how he's able to, you know, portray these theories, I guess. That's mainly where it got me. Like when I was younger, of course, it was Snap. It was like, oh my God, Matt said this, and this is real, but this is the real Snap story. Obviously, I've grown out of that. Um, and now more I watch it just because I genuinely like Matt and how he's able, act out these little videos and stuff. And like, no, I don't watch the videos that other people do. Um, I just don't really care. Doesn't really catch my interest. And it's like the same thing that what that what's his name, Hank Green and John Green. They're like videos that they do. Um, that we had to like watch in science class and like like I like them, but when it's other people doing it, it just doesn't feel the same. Not that it's bad, it's just not something and something that will really catch my.
Yeah. And yeah, so it's possible that if people really do, because obviously Matt will still make money and revenue from the channels even though he's not um actively like voicing or like doing work, he'll still be receiving money because it's his channels, even though he sold it to some company, which I didn't pay much attention to that, but
Oh,
he
I didn't
sold
even know
them.
that.
He talked about it. That was like the center of his interview with Anthony Padilla, and I know he made a video on the Game Theory channel about it, being like, "Oh, I sold the channel." I forget what it was called, but I think it was called like "This channel's not mine anymore" or something. But
Um,
yeah, he sold the channel. Him and Anthony talked about it because obviously Anthony fucked up selling Smosh. Um,
yeah,
so yeah, and then he also mentioned it in the like goodbye video that like that's one of the reasons why he sold the channel was because he knew he would be stepping away. Like he had this in his mind for a number of years that he would be stepping away. He just didn't know when it would be. And yeah, so he'll still make money from it, but and Des was like pointing this out that it's possible that he could come back if the money drops. If a lot of
like
people
it was not just drag at him and all. I say it about a lot of YouTubers because
Dan
it's
and
like
Phil.
no on those games, which I don't mean that in a negative way. Um,
No, you do mean it in a negative way. Fuck the queers.
no, the, we have a running joke with Dan and Phil that I'm like enemies with them. I have nothing against them, so if you would have known me in in seventh grade, you would have known that I was a terrible little fan. Nowadays, I'm not. Um, and I do very much like them. It's just a running joke we have. Granted, and I'm not homophobic, clearly. Um, but it does seem like a lot of YouTubers go like, yeah, I'm taking a break or I'm leaving and stuff, and then a little while later they come back and they have this great reunion and stuff, and sometimes it's because some money is working out. But I do feel that will stay away. Not in like a negative way, but I want him to be able to raise his son and him and Stephanie to because they have been doing that for a long time.
Yeah,
And he put a lot of work into these videos.
yeah, and there has been some discussion, since also Tom Scott, recently mentioned that he was gonna be retiring too, which Matt also mentioned in his video that Tom Scott making that video got him to start thinking about his own retirement. And there's been some discourse on Twitter of people talking about how, like, these people are retiring even though, like, most people, um 'cause it was especially sparked by, I saw under a Jacksepticeye tweet that I'll get to in a second, where he was talking about how, "Oh, now that I think about it, I" um, in reference to MatPat's video, like, "Oh, now that MatPat mentions it, I've also been doing YouTube for a literal third of my life," and then someone mentioned underneath that tweet, like, "Oh, well, most people do their jobs for most of their life," and so that, like, sparked a discussion about how, like, most people in, like, quote, unquote, "normal jobs" work until they're, like, 65, but a lot of YouTubers and a lot of content creators don't usually work for that long, mainly because content creation doesn't work like that. You can't just work at like a normal 9 to 5 job until you're 65 and it just be the same. You kind of have to think a little bit differently about it. And it can also take a lot out of you to because even though people might think like, oh, it's such a much easier job, you know, you can just work whenever you want, have your own hours, do whatever you want, like, it's so much easy, like, why are you retiring early? And it's like, well, no, it's actually pretty draining, like, you have to be on 24/7, even if you're not actively making content, you're probably on, you know, social media, on TikTok or Twitter, like, Instagram, somewhere, interacting with fans, posting other content, checking comments, stuff like that, checking DMs, you're navigating sponsorships, navigating, you know, other business decisions. And it's just like a constant thing that like it's very, very hard to turn it off. Like even if you go on vacation, you're probably still thinking about content and what to do with your content and what's next and stuff like that. So it's not really a thing that like you can just clock in and out of. Like it's for a lot of people, especially the ones that are very dedicated, it is a 24-hour job, and so it's not really like a these people are retiring early, it's like yeah, they're retiring early in terms of age, but if you look at the work they've put in, it's probably similar to what a 65-year-old would have worked in terms of, like, hours and just the amount of effort.
Mhm. And while I can kind of understand that, personally, my opinion's different, which me and Nahal have talked about. You know, I don't care what anyone says. I understand that content creation and video production for YouTube can be, you know, kind of hassle and be a lot. But, you know, I come from a family of like blue collar workers and my family being very poor to the point where they gotta work a lot just to keep a roof over their heads and stuff. And it'll never compare to what people in my family had to do with their jobs. Like, um, I've had family members who are literally losing like hearing and sight because of their jobs and how demanding they are. Um, I've had family members who don't get to see their family a lot because of how much they have to work. And like, personally, my grandfather, you know, some of us think that he kind of worked himself in some earlier days just because of how hardworking he had to be and how hardworking he was. And while I do think that, you know, creation is a very grueling job, it can't compare to the quote unquote normal jobs that 95% of the world has to do. And like, sure, you may be doing a lot of work, but you're also making more money from a video than quote unquote normal people will ever see in their life. Um, you know, you're going on trips around the world, getting things sent to you know, just getting to experience things that many people will never experience in their life. Um, a lot of these creators end up having their own TV shows, being in movies, this and that. And there's people literally starving on the street trying to be in one thing to credit them. And, you know, try to break into the actual world and stuff. So while yes, I do think it's a hard job and it does take a lot out of you, um, you also have a lot of privilege and opportunity to kind of step away from it than more people will ever have in their life. And
Yeah.
they also have, you know, the ability to be like, oh, I'm taking a mental health break and, you know, I'm going to be away for a couple weeks, a month, or whatever. 95% people don't get to do that. They don't get to say, like, yeah, you know, I'm going to call out of work for a month because I'm having a mental health crisis. And I just don't want to do it. And I think it's just me, you know, those people have to go to work or else they're going to homeless. These people have a lot of money. And, you know, I'm not saying this about like MATPAT or that or whatever. You know, they work for what they got. And, you know, they do come off like they understand their privilege that they have from being helpful feminist. And like people like Mark constantly doing money to charity, just constantly raising awareness and stuff. You can see that, they're taking this life that they got and they're using it for good. But a lot of other creators and influencers, I won't name names, don't. And they kind of complain about it. They're like, yeah, I gotta work a 9 to 5 to this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dude, you have on clothes that I won't be able to afford ever in my life. Like, be a little conscious. That may be controversial, my opinion, but that's how
Yeah, and a lot of other, obviously it is just a matter of opinion, and I feel like it is also like a subject of debate whether or not you think being an influencer, specifically YouTuber, because I don't even want to get into TikTokers. Being a
I'm
YouTuber
mainly
is
talking about TikTokers when I say they need to check their fucking privilege. Because these TikTokers, they have fucking go. Like, at least with YouTube, you have to sit there and, edit and record for a while. These people gotta record 5 second videos and they make like 10 grand.
they gotta dance.
That's my dick if you think your life is hard. Sorry, but that's my go cry about it. And these are the
It's-
people that won't donate money to charity, won't raise awareness, won't do shit with what they're doing. But you find that they get too much PR, they don't know what to do.
yeah, so it is kind of like a subject of debate, but it can be draining and it can be understandable why some people would want to retire. And MatPat is not the only one doing it. I mentioned Tom Scott a little bit earlier. He recently announced his retirement. He is the only other person that I can think of at the moment.
I think Stampy,
Oh, yes, Stampy.
Popsicle, some other people.
Yeah, I was never a Stampy kid growing up, so I just completely forgot about that. But yeah, he's also leaving, which, it is a shame because a lot of people grew up with these YouTubers, especially Stampy and MatPat, and so to see them leave is obviously a very hard thing for a lot of people. But at the same time, especially for Matt, no shade to Stampy, but especially for Matt, it is a very well deserved and understandable venture that they would want to step away from it. And, when thinking about others that might follow in Matt's footsteps, Mr. Sean William McLaughlin, uh, he made a tweet soon after MatPat released his video, talking about, like I said earlier, um, he mentioned how Matt made him realize that he'd also been doing YouTube for a third of his life. And this made a lot of people, including me, very nervous that he is considering retiring from YouTube. If Jack ever does retire from YouTube, I think I will actually end my life because I love that man. I love his videos. Even if I don't watch them that much anymore, I will cease to exist if he stops uploading.
That's totally, and like, I was saying it too. He better not even consider it. And where I was really saying it was fucking Markiplier. Because Markiplier, that dude, I'm only here today because of Markiplier. That dude got me through the worst years of my life. And was like solid male figure I could look up to, which is very sad. Which I think is why a lot of people are upset about these YouTubers retiring, is because, even though it's a little social and it's kind of weird, these are people that, a lot of kids that didn't have strong, like, parental figures or even positive role models in their life looked up to. And it was a distraction from all the bad things that were going on in their life. Like, I won't get into me, but I was going through some really dark shit in my life. And, just being able to watch a Markiplier video, even if it's like stupid, I'm missing a snack or goat simulator or something. It really helps with like getting me through my little creepy lessons and brain, which is my foot. I don't know what other ones, but I don't even have to read the whole fucking announcement. If I even get the words like starting with Q, I'm out. I'll be done. Y'all better pray at my funeral.
Yeah, so hopefully they still stick around for at least a few more years. I would hope. I know Jack said in a video, I think it was like a few years old by this point, but I think he did say in a video that he has he worked himself to the bone. Also, which I'm not gonna get into that because that's not what this conversation is about. But he also worked himself to the bone, and then he figured out a better schedule for him in terms of YouTube stuff. And he said that like he has now figured out how to have like the fun side of his life while also having YouTube in his life, and he's gotten a better balance. So hopefully that means he won't be going anywhere.
And
I
yeah.
can hope.
And when I talk about people, into this complaining about their work at all, I don't ever mean Jack, Mark, Matt, like these big YouTubers who you can tell put a lot of work and dedication into it because they genuinely have a passion. Not because they
Yeah.
want to be fucking little twink YouTubers that are like, I'm gonna get rich fast off of this.
This is why
No one's
people think
directed
you're
in those
homo
places.
This is why people think you're homophobic.
I'm not um but yeah, I never knew YouTubers like that. So you can tell that, you know, they have a passion for this and they genuinely want to do this because they think it'll make a difference. Um, some other YouTubers on the other hand, no, but Mark and Emma, and they don't only really complain. They generally just, afterwards, and they figure out how to make it work for them, and they don't go complaining about it every 5 seconds. So, and it's like there's a match and wanting to subscribe, but he has more time with his family. So that's very respectable.
Yeah.
Um, this place is making me hate unfortunate loser YouTube.
Yeah, so this seems as good a time as any to wrap things up.
Yeah,
Uh, Moral of the story, appreciate MatPat while you still have him in your life. Uh, Appreciate Dan and Mark. Dan and Mark, what?
what?
Mark and Jack while they're still around. You mentioned gay people so many times I got Dan Howell in my brain.
Yeah, but Dan and Mark,
I don't know.
Dan is cheating.
Uh, yeah, appreciate Jack and Mark while you still have them. And please, for the love of God, do not watch Saltburn. Thank you
And
so much.
also, if you're gonna see something, this is not a piece of shit.
Yeah,
And if it is a piece of shit, don't make it cost a lot of money. And also, if there's anything you said, any topics that you disagree with, or something you don't like, what can we tell them to do? So,
get a fucking hobby.
you know,
So,
mhm.
with that being said, if you want to keep up with us, you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter, even though I honestly forget about Twitter most of the time.
Don't worry.
And
I post on Twitter.
yeah, Des is our resident social media manager.
Mm.
That's why they live in the attic.
Oh my god. I don't live in an attic. I'm just currently in one because there's not a bunch of sleeping people around. I don't want to wake anyone up. Because we like to record our podcast at like got up of night.
And whose fault is that?
No one, because you're a busy person and I'm a busy person. We're two different.
Exactly.
I'm not saying it's anyone's fault or it's a bad thing. It's just the time we record.
Anyway, with all of that, we will see you guys in 2 weeks for the next episode where we talk about God knows what.
Yeah. And once again, if you ever have any doubts with that this discuss, anything you want to go over, you can always leave us a comment. There's a
Harass
Q&A.
us.
Yeah, for access. There's a Q&A you can answer. You know, make a TikTok asking us to do something, and we will gladly do it for you guys.
Within
Um,
reason.
yeah, you gotta follow and subscribe to Nahal's OnlyFans if you want anything crazy.
Excuse me, you're the one with the OnlyFans.
Rude. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. We hope you liked the episode, and if you didn't, get a fucking out. Goodbye.
Bye.